90 days since the U.S. lost its top credit rating. What are we doing to get it back? Well, tonight, 33 Republicans have signed a letter to the Super Committee calling on the group of 12 to balance the budget, reform entitlements, and, well, they're saying they don't want net tax increases. That leaves some increases open. It's just got to balance out. Well, one of the 33 who signed it was Gang of Six member Senator Tom Coburn of Oklahoma. He has a few trillion ideas on how we can get our credit rating back. He is out front tonight. I spoke to him before the show about his plan to cut $9 trillion from the deficit over the next decade. He wants to cut out the fat, including $500 million that he says the Department of Energy spends on conferences on yachts with cigars.
Well, I can document at least $350 billion a year of waste, fraud, or duplication, and yet we can't get the Senate to do anything about it. And we put forward $9 trillion worth of savings, which is really the number we have to do to get our country healthy again. And we haven't seen a lot of embracement of what is necessary. Well,
your Gang of Six has met with the Super Committee, and a couple of your cohorts told Joe Scarborough on Morning Joe this week that the Super Committee should go big to that $4 trillion number. That's exactly the number 100 members of Congress put forth yesterday, and they came on this show. Is this all talk, or are you all talking and on board with spending cuts, tax increases, and entitlement cuts, all three?
I think, look, our country, I think that, first of all, you have to set the predicate. What is the problem? Our problem is we're going to pay a very large price in a very short period of time if we don't start acting responsibly based on the numbers in front of us. Mm-hmm. And the minimum requirement for that is $4 to $5 billion just to buy 5 years. So I think people are willing. Right? A trillion, yeah. It's hard to keep those numbers straight, even for us up here. So I think the significant thing is it's okay if the committee does $1.2 trillion, and that's their minimum mandate, and we need to pass that, and then we need to move on to the next step.
If tax increases are required to get a deal done, are you willing to do it on somebody somewhere?
Oh, I've already stated that. I am. Mm-hmm. But we certainly don't want to do that without reforming the tax code. Yes. Because one of the biggest inhibitors to capital formation and job creation right now is the tax code.
All right, let me ask you about your plan. You spent a year on it. It is the biggest I've seen so far with its $9 trillion price tag. And you say as part of that, you're going to cut from Medicare. And this is where it comes to having an adult conversation with the American people. I wanted to play an ad for you that really shocked me from the AARP.
So, Washington, before you even think about cutting my Medicare and Social Security benefits, here's a number you should remember: 50 million. We are 50 million seniors who earned our benefits. And you will be hearing from us today and on Election Day.
That's a threat, and does it offend you?
Well, it offends me because they're thinking about the AARP, not the country. The average couple at retirement have put $110,000 into Medicare and will take out $350,000. I think every grandparent in this country would reject that. For us to get out of our problems, we have to reform Medicare. We don't have to cut Medicare. What we have to do is reform it. But one thing I can guarantee is Medicare won't be the same 5 years from now as it is today, regardless what AARP says, because we can't borrow the money to pay for it. We can't get out of the problems that we're in, Erin, unless we have the courage and the statesmen to do that. And that means to tell AARP take a hike and ATR take a hike. We're going to do what's best for the country.
Well, certainly on this show we couldn't agree more on that. But let me ask you about your cuts on Medicare. Your plan calls for a 20% cut in Medicare and Medicaid somehow. And I wanted to ask you where that comes from. Is that the prescription drug benefits?
No, that's not accurate at all. We put an earnings test on Medicare. So that means the people that would be receiving the cut would be those that are wealthiest in this country.
So you're saying a cut in overall spending, but not necessarily in benefits? Yeah,
you're not going to see a cut in benefits. As a matter of fact, if we truly reform Medicare the way it needs to be reformed, we'll get better health care than we have today for less money. I mean,
that remember, sounds like you can have your cake and eat it too.
You can, because there's $100 billion a year in fraud in Medicare.
And that's enough to solve the problem?
Well, that's enough to start, and then if you put an earnings test on it and you actually bring it back to where it was supposed to be, which means on Medicare Part A, you actually pay an adequate amount into the trust fund, and Part B, you participate in the level of what it was designed to participate, and we get rid of the fraud, and we change it to where there's more consumerism in it and more consumer-directed purchasing, we'll see a significant amount of savings.
All right, well, sir, thank you very much. We appreciate it and look forward to having you on again soon and want to talk more about that prescription drug benefit as well. Thanks again, sir.
You bet.
Police officers in Brazil today went on